Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Michael Giannoulis, and I am the founder and creator of copywriterbrain.com, amongst many other things. But in this video, I'm going to show you 4 different ways or things to think about when it comes to editing your copy or your ads. If you've ever written like a long form ad or a full sales page, there's a lot that you have to do to edit it to make it better. And we're going to go over 4 strategies that you can use right now. So let's jump in and go. Okay, so the first way that you can edit your copy is just like I talked about in my video on how to write better copy, and that is to read it out loud. When you read copy out loud, it really helps you in a few ways. One, you can kind of feel the piece. Your ear can kind of hear where it's trying to go because you want it to sound good. It's almost like when you're playing a song and you want that certain sound, that certain feel. It's very hard to explain it, but if you've ever written ads, you just kind of start to get a feel for how something should sound. So that's kind of the first thing that you would like to do. But then 2, what you also want to do is you want to just look for those awkward spots or those spots where you lose your place or you say something wrong. Because then you know that if you can't read it out loud and it sound good, people won't be able to read it in their minds and it sound good. And whenever people stumble, they tend to just leave. It's just the way it is. So you want to make reading every word really easy and really simple. So that's a great way to edit your copy, is to read it out loud. The second strategy you want to use to edit your copy is what I learned from a book called Copy Logic. And it's a great book. I'll put a link down below to that book. But the whole idea is to use what they call the Cub Technique. And you want to read your copy and you want to look for these 3 things and you want to take them out. Number 1 is anything that's confusing. That's the C. So anything that's confusing, you want to just get it gone. Because again, like we said, confusion is going to lead to drop off. It won't make sense to them. And they'll get confused and they'll go, I don't know anymore, and they'll leave. Confusion can also lead to people being skeptical. So you want to get rid of anything that's confusing. Number 2, this is a big one. You want to get rid of things that are unbelievable. So that's the U of Cub. Anything that is unbelievable, like you just can't believe it. You have 2 options with things that are unbelievable. 1, you can just cut it out and it's gone. Or 2, you can provide the proof to show that what you're saying is true. And this is a broader point when it comes to writing ads. You don't want to say anything that really you don't have the proof for compliance, which we'll talk about next, but also because people are so skeptical. And so if you say something, you really need to back it up with proof or a stat or authority or an example. Because again, people want to believe, but they've been fed so much stuff for so long that they really just can't. So that's the U. Get rid of things or prove things that are unbelievable. And number 3, or part 3 of this Cub, is the B, is boring. Get rid of things that are boring. Because again, people like excitement. They like fast paced. There's just this whole idea that when people get bored, they lose focus. They just drop off and they go over here and then they're gone, right? So you don't want that. You don't want boring things. You want things that are exciting. So read it. If you get bored, trust me, they will get twice as bored as you are, because you are at least vested in this piece. So if you can, go back through, read it. If it's boring, cut it out. There's a great quote. I can't remember who it was, but they asked, how do they write such exciting books? And the author said, it's easy. I cut out all the parts that people skip. So that's kind of what you want to do. You want to get rid of the parts that people would skip, because then it's easier to read, it's faster to read, and they're more apt to stay and do what they have to do. All right, the third thing that you want to do whenever you're editing copy is remember compliance. Compliance is a big deal, all the way from just being compliant for the channel that you're going to be on. So it could be like Facebook, it could be YouTube, Google, all the sites, they all have their own rules in the way that they want things to be done. So you want to make sure that you read those and you study those and you review your copy with those in mind. But then even beyond that, you also want to make sure that you're compliant with state and federal and international laws wherever you may be. There's so many different aspects of things that you can and can't say. And don't just assume it's like the common sense stuff. There's so many things you might not even know that different jurisdictions want. You can't say this or you can't say that. You want to make sure that you go through, and anything at all that jumps out at you, circle it and get feedback from an attorney. Obviously, if you work for a company, that should be part of their processes, that at some point in time, it may be reviewed by an attorney, depending upon the structure of the company that you're in. So you want to make sure that you have things like that done. You want to be compliant as best as you can be. I learned this from experience. So make sure everything you do is compliant. So again, ways to look for that are to go through the copy and look for things that just seem over the top, seem exaggerative, or things that seem like not a typical result that someone might get. Those are things that you can do to scale back some of those. Now, will it hurt your sales? Probably, yes. There's no way around that, but they keep you in line with the law and they help you to create a longer company that'll be here forever. And the best part of all is you can feel really good that you're not stretching anything out and you're really attracting the right clients who will be with you for the long term. The fourth way that you can edit your copy is to use some of my favorite online sites. The first site that I recommend everyone use, if you're not, is Grammarly. It's I'll put down a link, but you definitely want to make sure that you have Grammarly. It's super important. It reads everything. It catches typos. It catches things that you just didn't say right. Just be careful because it will try to undo some of your copy talk. So they're not always right. But when it comes to grammar stuff, they're pretty good. The second site that I like to use is a site called Hemingway app. And again, I'll put down a link, but you can use that site and it'll tell you what reading level your copy is at. And you want to be somewhere around 5th or 6th grade, which I know that sounds crazy, but people don't have time to study your stuff and make sense of it and break it down and analyze it. No, they just need to see it, read it, quickly understand it, and move on. And that's a real secret to writing copy that converts. And you want to go back through, and that app will show you words that you could perhaps change or things that were too passive and all that. So you want to make sure to do that because, again, cutting out passive stuff is a big key. I talk about that and how to write better copy, but you want to make sure that you remove any of those passive things when you're saying was, were, and all that. You want to be active as you can be, and both of those apps will help you uncover that. All right, so in closing, I hope you've enjoyed this quick little training on how to edit your copy. I highly recommend that you go out and buy the book Copy Logic. It's a great book and you really learn how to edit copy the proper way. If you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed my little background set, then please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment as that feeds the algo. And that means a lot to me because this will get out there to more and more people. And if you enjoyed it too, make sure you check out copywriterbrain.com. I house all of my articles there, content, tons of free stuff. Go check it out. Thanks for being here, and I will see you again on the flip side.